If you've ever set foot in a gym, you've definitely heard of creatine. I mean, it's got to be one of the most popular and maybe most misunderstood supplements on the entire planet. The myths surrounding it are just everywhere. So today, we're going to cut right through all that noise.
Okay, let's just get this one out of the way immediately. This is the big one, right? The question that probably stops more people from even trying creatine than anything else.
And then there's that other rumor, the one you always hear in the locker room, that you're somehow cheating, that this stuff is just one step away from being some kind of illegal performance-enhancing drug.
And finally, maybe the most serious concern of all, will taking this stuff actually damage your long-term health? We are going to answer every single one of these questions, and we're going to do it with real science.
All right, let's dive right in. We are tackling these questions head on, and we're going to use solid, evidence-based research to finally separate the facts from all the fiction.
So first off, what even is creatine? Well, it's not some crazy synthetic substance cooked up in a lab. It's actually a totally natural compound that your own body makes from amino acids. Its main job? To help your muscles produce something called ATP, which is basically the high-octane fuel for your cells, especially during those quick, explosive movements, like lifting a heavy weight or sprinting.
And look at that number. This is the foundation for our entire conversation today. We're not talking about some new, untested fad here. With over 500 peer-reviewed scientific papers on it, creatine is, without a doubt, one of the most thoroughly researched sports supplements in history. So, with all that research in our back pocket, let's start knocking down some of these huge myths, starting with the big ones about your body and your health. First up, let's tackle that big, dramatic claim. Is creatine a steroid? And the answer, which is backed by decades of chemical analysis, is a clear, definitive, evidence-based no. Not even close. They're not even in the same ballpark. I mean, just look at how different they are. Creatine has a totally different chemical structure. It works by giving your muscle cells a quick energy source. Anabolic steroids, on the other hand, are synthetic hormones. They basically hijack your body's muscle-building system. Chemically, functionally, they're not even in the same universe. Okay, on to the next major concern. This idea that creatine is hard on your kidneys is just so persistent. And it's fascinating because you can trace this entire myth back to a single, pretty misleading case study from all the way back in 1998. But here's the crucial point. Since that one case study, we've had over 2 decades of controlled research. And in healthy people, it shows over and over again that when you take it at the recommended dose, we're talking 3 to 5 grams a day, creatine does not cause kidney damage or any kind of renal dysfunction. Okay, another really common fear is that the weight you gain from creatine isn't actually muscle. It's just fat and water bloating you up. So what does the actual data say about that? Yeah, this one is also a clear no. So many studies show that creatine doesn't increase fat mass. In fact, one huge meta-analysis found that people using creatine actually lost a little bit more body fat than the placebo group. So that initial weight gain you might see, it's not fat. It's just water being pulled into your muscle cells. And this process, it's called cell volumization, is actually a good thing. It's one of the signals that tells your muscles, hey, it's time to grow. All right, and now for the main event. Let's trace the origin of the biggest creatine myth of them all, the great hair loss to beat. This is a pretty wild story about how just one piece of research can get blown completely out of proportion. Let's be perfectly clear about this. Every single fear, every blog post, every gym rumor you've ever heard about creatine and baldness, it all traces back to one and only one scientific study that was published way back in 2009. And when you actually look at how the study was designed, it's pretty surprising. It was a really small-scale study, just 20 college-aged rugby players, and they were only observed for a short 3-week period. And get this, the researchers weren't even looking for hair loss. They were just measuring hormone levels. So this right here is the key finding that sparked everything. The study found that creatine led to a 56% increase in a hormone called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. And because DHT is known to play a role in male pattern baldness, well, people connected the dots and the myth was born. But that is not the whole story. Here is the absolute most important question you have to ask. In this one study from 2009, Did the researchers actually measure or report any hair loss among the guys who were participating? And this, right here, is where the whole myth just completely falls apart. First, the study never measured hair loss at all, not one single hair. Second, in all the years since, its findings on DHT have never been replicated by another study. And third, even though DHT levels went up, they stayed well within the normal healthy clinical range. So, the scientific consensus today is pretty clear. There is no direct, proven link between taking creatine and losing your hair. So, now that we've cleared the air and busted all the biggest myths, let's get practical. How should you actually use creatine to get the benefits without falling for any of the hype? When it comes to taking creatine, you really just have two simple paths. You can do what's called a loading phase. That's taking about 20 grams a day, maybe split into a few doses for about a week. This gets your muscles saturated really fast. Or you can just skip that and take a smaller maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams a day. It takes a little longer, maybe 4 weeks or so, but you end up in the exact same place. Both roads lead to the same destination. One is just a little faster. And what kind of creatine should you buy? Look, don't get caught up at all the marketing for these fancy, expensive new versions. This quote from a massive review paper in a major sports nutrition journal says it all. Decades of research show that simple, cheap creatine monohydrate is the most proven and effective form there is, period.
Okay, so after looking at all the actual evidence, what's the final verdict on the world's most popular supplement?
When you strip away all the myths and the gym talk, the scientific conclusion is just overwhelming. Creatine monohydrate is one of the safest, most effective, and by far the most scientifically vetted nutritional supplements you can possibly take to improve your strength, your power, and your lean muscle mass. And you know, that really leaves us with one final question to think about. With this mountain of over 500 studies supporting its safety and its effectiveness, why do you think these myths, especially ones that literally came from a single misunderstood study, continue to dominate the conversation online and in the gym? It's just a powerful reminder of how easily misinformation can spread, even when it's facing overwhelming scientific evidence.